Alright guys, Friday again, it's our laboratory, things aren't any different than they usually are on Fridays. We're going to go over all the things and tricks that make us better in Jiu Jitsu. Most of you guys are familiar with everything that we do on Fridays. If you have been to our camp, you're very familiar. If you haven't, a lot of this stuff is in there, but we go in more in depth and we go over pretty much everything. Fridays we like to take and use as our laboratory to make you better. It's almost like our workshop for the brain. Tricks of the mind so you can absorb the information much better. What we're going to be working on today is you can work on a multitude of things. I'm going to go over everything. We can go over the visual aspect, the auditory, kinesthetic. You want to heighten each one of your senses. The more you heighten your senses, the more intelligent you're making yourself because you absorb every ounce of information you've ever learned in your entire life through one of your senses. So the more you focus on enhancing your senses, the better you're going to be at absorbing the information, recalling the information, and executing it with precision. So, what you want to do to work on more kinesthetic things is maybe close your eyes and feel the technique. Feel the little subtleties. When you're practicing technique, ways of practicing, you're doing the technique. You can do it with your eyes closed so you can feel it and hit the perfect technique by feeling everything and where everything should be in place. Then you can use just your visual by shutting down your feelings. Just kidding. You can use visual. Obviously everybody's doing it. Obviously everybody uses everything when they practice. A little bit of some, a little bit less of others. But we want to heighten each one so when we use all of them, they're going to be more, it's like you're going to have ESP. It's like when Dave, you do a move, it's like you know what I'm going to do. You shut me down before I even do it. You're right, I do have ESP. I do have extrasensory perception. I have increased my senses to read and adapt to things. Now you have to build cues for this. Because I can teach you the best technique in the world with perfect technique. You guys got it down so good, it's just so perfect, but you guys will never ever be successful at it if you don't do it at the right time. So we have to build cues for us. Now, what is the first thing we notice? Well, it's going to come through one of your senses. Now, sometimes I may see something, but I might not feel it if I'm very visual. If I'm not very auditory, and I'm looking over here, and the guy puts his foot down because he's going to scoot his hips out in a little bit, and I didn't register that, well, I need to heighten my auditory. Okay? Not only external auditory, what's going on outside, but internal auditory, what's going on inside as well. You guys can practice the technique perfectly. You guys could build up cues perfectly. So your timing's right on it. And you anchored it, so you don't even have to think about it. You're an automatic pilot. You just respond. But it's still not going to work if you don't do everything perfect. Internal dialogue, if you're saying, oh no, the guy just put his knee there. Oh, he's slowing my game down. He's shutting me down. Or he's wearing a higher belt than me. You're having an internal civil war. The dialogue in your head is not congruent with what your body's doing. Perfect technique. So there's going to be a moment of hesitation. Anytime there's hesitation, you're going to miss your spot. Jean-Jacques said, if you have to think about it, it's usually too late. You want your body to respond on automatic pilot. So in order to get there, you have to build up your cues. First, have the perfect technique. We have it. Now, you got to build up your cues. What's the first sense that fires off? Usually, it's not visual. When you're practicing the technique and the other guy's doing the technique, don't lay dormant. It's your turn to feel, oh, I notice every time he's doing a triangle on me, before he actually does anything, I feel the little shift in the hips right here. Ah. The more patterns, the more sequences you recognize, the quicker you're going to get it. And if you want to get good at something, you have to recognize patterns and sequences. If I ate lunch every day with a group of guys right here and a lion came up and ate a guy, one of my friends, every single day, eventually I'm going to say, okay, well, let's see, maybe I should look for an escape route, or at least be faster than these guys, or climb this tree or whatever. Or maybe not even eat lunch there. Or maybe we'll just go eat lunch over here. The lion keeps coming every day. Eventually you're going to pick up and, oh, the guy keeps getting me in a triangle, Dave. What do you notice first? I don't know, I just get keep in a triangle all the time. We have to build up your cues. First you have to learn how to stop it. Then you have to build up the cues to do it at the right time. Then you have to anchor it so it's automatic response. You're working off of unconscious competence. You want it so you're just like, when you start the car, put it in drive, reverse, near, all these things. You don't do that anymore. You're thinking, you're texting your friend, you're talking to somebody in the passenger seat, you're hungry, you're thinking what's for supper, you don't even think of all this stuff that's going on. Because it's automatic. You want your jiu-jitsu to be automatic. Everything in your life is. You recognize sequences and patterns throughout the rest of your life. Right? You know where your pants are, you go right there, too. Through your pants. Put your pants on in the morning. Unless your room's like mine, it's everywhere and you have to look for it. But you build up sequences, patterns. You probably have the same pattern taking a shower every day. Your routine. You're not even thinking about it. You're thinking about other things, what you're supposed to do in life. You do everything else like this, do jiu-jitsu like this. You want it on automatic pilot. You want to build up and heighten your senses to increase your intelligence so you can recognize sequences and patterns. Then there's neuroassociation. I put myself in a position, what are all my go-tos? A visual person is probably going to do this. But the more I get familiar with it, the better I'm going to be. A kinesthetic person, they're probably going to be like, okay, what are all my go-tos? And they're probably moving their body. An auditory person is like, well, I can do this, I can do that. They're probably talking about everything. But the important part here is to heighten each one of these senses. When you're doing the neuroassociation, you get to the position. I'm like, the more you familiarize yourself with all the go-tos, like putting pause. Putting the fight on pause. Stop right here. If I can put pause on pause all the time, it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Push play again, and boom, I do it. I'm going to be faster and beat him in timing every single time. It's like being like Spider-Man. You're slowing down time for yourself. Now, the more I do neuroassociation, putting myself in a position, what are all my go-tos? Okay, let's go to another position. Go to all my go-tos. The more I do this, the more I'm familiarizing myself. When you get familiar with it, it becomes easier and easier and easier. It's like I walk through a field full of weeds. I look back, I don't know where I walked. The weeds pop right back up. But I walk there the next day, the next day, the next day. Pretty soon, after a week, 2 weeks, there's a little path. Then after a while, there's a dirt road. And after a while, it's a paved road. And then after a while, I'm not even using it. I'm just flying there. I'm not even thinking about it. I just respond automatically. This is what you want to get your jiu-jitsu to. This is what's going to make you better. This is what's going to make you more intelligent and get what you want sooner than later. You're all here. The fact that you're all here, you want to get better at jiu-jitsu. We do this every Friday. I see the same faces all the time. I know who's eager. I know who wants to learn. I know who wants to get better. It's my job to provide the best for you guys and create that. If you're in a relaxed state of mind, your brain is going to be better able to absorb information, learn quicker, recall faster, and bring out the information when you need it, when you want it, now, not later. Okay? We've all come across, like, what was that person's name again? At the bank or the grocery store, several hours later, bing, it pops in your head. You weren't even thinking of that. Why did it pop in your head? Your unconscious mind is constantly working. If you ask yourself the right questions, you're going to get the right answers. If you keep doing the right thing, you keep asking yourself in the positive, not what you don't want. I don't want this to happen anymore. That's what you're going to think about. You're going to have an internal war going on. You're not going to be congruent with yourself. Say everything in a positive. When somebody counters something, when somebody stops my move, I look at it as a present. It's a gift. Here's my opportunity now to go for my counter. They fell for the bait. Let's see how fast I can get this. Not, oh no, he's slowing my game down, or I might not get it, or they're an upper belt. Your brain must be active all the time, doing the right thing. And then after a while, you won't even need to do any of this. You'll just automatically respond. When you look at a black belt fight, it's like boom, 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 shutting down things left and right because their responses, their near association, they paved the way. They've done it 1,000 times. They say it takes 10,000 hours or 10,000 times to do something, to master it. I don't think so. I think our brains are much more capable of a lot more. It's the most advanced machine there is. And now we have the most advanced technology to use this machine to make you better. We have answers. We know where your brain waves should be. We know what your brain should be doing, looking for. It shouldn't be lying dormant. You should be always active to get better. Now, I can teach you, like I said, I can teach you all the jiu-jitsu in the world. It's not going to do you any good unless you find in all these elements. Boom, 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 like a black belt, shutting down, mount, finish. How come you can do it and I can't? Make it look so effortless and easy. Well, there's control points. In our camp and on Fridays, sometimes we work on the control points. There's different things that control the body. Once you start understanding and learning how the anatomy works and how to shut it down, and a little bit more about physics and controlling the body, you're going to start mastering your manipulation on another body. A lot of people can't even control their own body. Okay, so let's work on a couple of things that, Nobu, can I borrow you please?